do you think about the fact that, so often your posts, things that you post about hospitals, libraries, schools, etc., after you make these posts about them, they deal with threats, sometimes bomb threats, sometimes harassment.
We don't know who's calling in the threats. And I mean, look, bomb threats are bad. I've said that 1,000 times. People who call in bomb threats should be arrested and investigated. You can't call in bomb threats. But I just don't know what does it have to do with.
Well, I guess, a recent NBC investigation found at least 33 instances where you posted about a specific person or institution, and that person or institution was immediately bombarded with death threats and violent threats, including bomb threats, other violent threats. That's a pretty significant correlation. How do you, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but I got tons of death threats this week after the entire media machine came after me. So are they responsible for those?
I don't think that there's the same correlation. Are you receiving bomb threats?
I'm receiving death threats, hi, I'm gonna come murder you.
Yeah, and I definitely sympathize with you there, because I get those
literally
every day.
The article goes live and then I get those threats.
I get the same thing when a Fox News article goes live.
So is the journalist responsible, the journalist who posted the article?
I would say, there's a different responsibility when we're talking about media. And I guess to me, a death threat is different than a violent bomb threat. A death threat, I think we're kind of getting normalized to them, unfortunately, online. We get a lot of them. Probably you and I get them constantly, 24/7. I'm wondering kind of how you think about taking these obscure people, right? Because you and I are both public figures, and I imagine you and I we have a high tolerance, right, for what we can handle online.
I've had to remove every single social tie. I had severe PTSD from this. I contemplated suicide. It got really bad.
Say you're taking a private citizen, a gay teacher, for instance, in a small town, and you post about that person, and then that person subsequently, who had no media presence prior, receives pretty violent threats.
You feel like any little piece of information that gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to destroy your life.
How does that make you feel?
We need to answer the question first, though. Is the journalist responsible for actions that have to happen after?
It's so isolating
and terrifying.
It's horrifying.
So you consider sort of your posts about private citizens, incendiary posts, you consider that journalism?
I'm an independent journalist.
And do you think that there's a difference between doing journalism on a completely private figure that has no public presence and no institutional power versus reporting on a powerful public institution or person?
You still didn't answer the question. Is the journalist responsible for reporting for any actions that happen after the reporting?
I'm so sorry. It's overwhelming.
Personally, I think that journalists should take care and should consider sort of the framing, and I think that they should do their best not to appear as if they encourage that sort of behavior.
It's really hard.